Hello, I'm Dave House, Director of Online and Extended Learning at Husson University. In this video, we're going to take a look at how you use the assignments feature and keep an up-to-date gradebook in your Canvas course. Just as we're expecting faculty to use the online Canvas attendance app, we're also asking faculty to keep an up-to-date gradebook in their Canvas shell. Every course at Husson University has a corresponding Canvas shell, and so you'll automatically have this to use with your class. Before your class can see anything, once again a reminder, it will be very important for you to push the Publish button here. By clicking on Publish, it means that your students can actually see your course. And this will be a common theme, as each assignment we create will also need to be published for the students. In order to set up your assignments, you can get as complex or as simple as you want. So, in order to set up your gradebook, I start with the assignments link. You'll notice it's grayed out here because there's no assignments in it. But if we click on it, this is what we get. Now you have choices. Some faculty divide their assignments into groups and weight each group. So for example, I might have a discussions section that's worth 10% of my grade. I might have a essays section that's worth 50% of my grade. I may have an exam section that's worth a certain percentage. If that is the way you organize your course, start here. Use the group function here, because basically what you'll be doing is creating assignment groups. So if let's say I have 4 groups in my course. One is called discussions, and I just save it. You see how it adds that group there? I can also rename this one by just going there and editing it. We'll call this essays. We'll call a third group exams. And let's say I have a special weight for my final exam. So let's say midterm exams are worth 1%, but my final exam is worth more. Let's group this as final exam. From here, notice I have my 4 categories. By going to this panel, or this button here with the 3 dots, notice that I get to choose assignment groups weight. If I click the box, which says weight final grade based on assignment groups, you'll see essays, discussions, exams, final exam, and the total percentage. And in here, I can add these up. So let's say my discussions are worth 10% of the student's grade. Let's say that the final exam is going to be worth 50% of the student's grade. And that's exams will be worth let's say 20% of the final grade, and essays will also be worth 20%. Also notice that the total keeps a running tally of where you're at. So if you get lost, or sometimes you might make a typo or not even realizing it, let's say I accidentally hit 200 and I go here, notice, hey wait, my total is now 280%. How did this happen? And then I can add back, okay, 50, 20, 70, 80, extra 0, and I'm down to 100. And once I have that, I click Save. Notice the pill on the right side will show the percentage total of every group. Now, as I go along, I can add these things. So, for example, let's say that all of the assignments that you have students submitting are done physically in class. So they're not submitting anything over Canvas. But you can still use the gradebook to help organize your grades and keep students up to date with it. The other advantage is that these grades will be swept every day by Dropout Detective, and it helps us have a more real-time picture as to how students are doing. So advisors have a clearer sense of student performance, and advisors can intervene or work with students as needed. This will also replace the midterm grade reporting that the registrar's office was requiring. There's no need to fill out these kinds of these kinds of reports with the registrar's office because we have real-time data being kept. That's why it's so critical for faculty to keep their gradebook in here. So, in this simple example, let's say that I have all of my materials done in class and none of it will be submitted over Canvas. Let's say we have 2 essays. I can add an assignment to here. We'll call it Essay 1. And we'll say it's due on whatever date. So this will also help remind students. So let's say Essay 1 will be due on September 27th. Okay. And I know it will be worth 100 points. So I can save and publish that. Let's say Essay 2 will be due. Notice how I use the calendar. So let's say it will be due November 29th, and that will be 100 points as well. Save and publish. Discussions, let's say I have 4 of these discussions set up, and they'll be set, let's say here, and each one of them we can make worth 100 points. Make it easy. And you get the idea. Oh, notice what I did? I forgot something. So if I can go back, I can just go to Edit. Now I forgot to add the points. And save and publish. Exams. Let's say I have 2 midterm exams. One. And exam 1 will be held right before midterm or right around midterm. Okay. Exam 2, we know will be 100 points. And that will be, say right around here. And the final exam will be worth 100 points as well in this scheme, and that it'll be during final exam week, whenever that is. So let's say it's this. Okay, so now I've set up all of my assignments in this way. Now I can be even more direct, because if you'll notice, if I click on these, we have this Essay 1, there's no content, but we also know that students are not submitting anything, meaning they're not submitting it over Canvas. Let's say you wanted students to submit this as an assignment over Canvas. I could go to Edit, I could type in my instructions, notice I have my points. It goes in the Essays assignment group. I want to display the grade as points. I have the option of not counting this towards the final grade, but I want to. Right now it's marked as no submission. So meaning no online submission. You were going to collect this in class. But let's say you want to try this as an online submission. You could also mark it as on paper. So the students know there they'll submit this directly on paper. So you can be even more specific. Online. And notice I have a number of entry options. You can use a website URL or media recording, or text entry, but let's say I want a formal essay written in, say, a Microsoft Word document, and that's the only document I want to accept. I can restrict upload file types. And there. I can enter the file types used for Microsoft Word. If I want to use the plagiarism checker, VeriCite, I can click the box. I can also use advanced VeriCite settings. So that way VeriCite's not going to scan material that's in quotation marks. So if we see something in quotation marks, we know that that's being cited. So maybe we don't worry about that. Excluding self-plagiarism. So if this student has submitted similar passages elsewhere, we can exclude that, or we can include it. And we ask you to allow storing submissions in our institutional index, because this is what helps build our database and helps make this tool even more effective. Update settings. Notice it's assigned to everyone, and I have the due date, and then I click Save. Okay. So now let's say we have the assignments have come in. We go to SpeedGrader to grade our assignments. Of course, there's no students in this sample class, so it's going to tell us that, but we can also make it so if this is something we were just having students submit on paper, we don't have to worry about those things. Right there. Now if we go back to assignments, we'll notice it's not grayed out anymore. We have this grade weighting here. So the question becomes, how do you enter your grades once you have the gradebook? So for the purposes of example, I've gone to a class that's running now. It's a special course. So in this sample, we have a student set up here, and we'll see some grades entered. So one way of entering these grades is either by assignment, or I can go to grades. And one of the easy ways to go to grades is if I go here, and I go to grades on the left-hand panel, the gradebook appears. In it, you'll see a listing of individual students. So if I had students manually turning these things in on paper, or a paper test that I administer in class, all I would do is simply add, click on the box, add my score, and that would automatically enter it. Very simple. Notice that with my weighting we have here, when we see marks like this, it means that a student has entered something, maybe late, but that it's not graded. So if I click on this, and then I look at more details in the SpeedGrader, what we get up are and this was a sample I uploaded as a sample file. So, this is one way of looking and maintaining your gradebook. By keeping it up to date, This becomes a great advantage for students, especially, and for advising, and I think it will help advisors as they navigate through the full life cycle of the advising process, and really be of great use to student success.